Hello and welcome to the Empowered Expat Wife podcast. If you moved abroad following your significant other and are looking to create a fulfilled life on your terms there, this is the place to be. I'm your host, Camilla Quintana, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you and to inspire you to create the kind of life abroad you truly deserve. Ladies, I am so excited because today's episode is actually the reason I started this podcast in the first place. Let me tell you, it was the realization that many expat and diplomatic wives depend fully or heavily on their partner. They often don't have a retirement plan or not a good one. They often don't have an income or not a high one, not a stable one. They often don't have the same career opportunities as they would back home. And now when you add to that the statistical fact that expat, diplomat, and multicultural marriages have a much higher divorce rate, some say it's at 70%. I mean, this data is just sheer alarming. So it really leaves the women in a very disadvantaged position. And I don't want to make anyone feel bad or worried, even if that's what you may have just felt. I created the Empowered Expat Wife to have a platform to talk about these issues, to draw attention to them, share my knowledge or resources, or have great guests talk about them if they're more of an expert. Get the conversation going so that we can all become more independent together. Unfortunately, I think we're not having these conversations enough. And I belong to several international women's clubs and groups, and money, finances, business, and the likes aren't typically topics of conversation. And hey, there are great other conversations going on, and I'm the first to enjoy a heart-to-heart talk about parenting and exchange about the latest beauty trends or sharing recipe. I really, truly enjoy all of that and find it enriching to my day-to-day life. But that can also lead to our disadvantage. Women have been traditionally taught that men take care of the finances. Maybe on some level you even think, oh, I wouldn't know about this, or I'm not good with money, I'm not good with numbers. I mean, how many times have I thought that? Well, if that is the case for you too, ladies, it's time to rise up and get ourselves educated on these topics because the future is ahead of us. Retirement is ahead of us, and we don't know what life will bring and what situation we'll be in. There's a lot of things that can happen to us, but we need to be prepared. We need to open our eyes and just be really clever because it's our life. It's our children's lives, right? I remember the author David Back, who wrote Smart Women Finish Rich. And he described very vividly how many of the women in his seminars went from relying on their dad to relying on their husbands when it came to money and finances. And many of them had a wake-up call when they got divorced or their partner passed away or was unable to generate income anymore. In his words, it's neither safe nor practical to assume that the man in your life can be counted on to take care of your money. And, this is not to bash the wonderful men that you hopefully have in your life. It's just that I feel very strongly about becoming part of the conversation. Now, as a disclaimer, I am by no means an expert on finances. So please think of me more as a concerned friend who wants to draw awareness to this and who's taken an interest in this matter. Right? So instead of drawing on my own expertise, I want to share what I've learned from some actual financial experts and gurus about this. And just in case you're getting overwhelmed, let me tell you, you don't need to have a high-paying job or a thriving career to be witty with finances and to become financially empowered. Again, David Back reiterates that you don't need to have a big income even to be financially safe. And he even says that everyone makes enough money to get rich and that it's not about how much you earn, but how you handle the money you have. So if that's not good news, I don't know what is. Right, so based on the books that I've read, which I'll reference below, I want to ask you some questions just to get you reflecting, right? Feel free to take some notes on this, journal about it, be very honest with yourself, and most importantly, start taking action with the ideas that I'll give you. All right, so question number 1. Do you know about your family's money situation, including investments, real estate, assets and liabilities, mortgages, debt, monthly spending, etc.? Depending on your personal situation, this will be more or less easy to find out. So I want to encourage you to just take an interest. Sit down with the people in your life who know or who are in control of this and get a good overview. And if you yourself have money saved or invested, please do the same, because so often we don't fully know what something's worth. How should it be handled and managed ideally? What hidden fees are we maybe paying for it, and all of that? And if you have a financial advisor, attend meetings with them. If your financial advisor is in a different country, you can maybe ask for a call or a video conference. Include yourself in the conversation so that you can create your own opinion, get a better understanding, and also be in control of your finances, even if it's not your income that we're talking about. And again, don't rely on anyone else to handle it. Even if you're not an expert, you have to be part of the conversation and the decision-making process where possible. Now, if for some reason you are unable to get a transparent insight into your family's money situation, then please at least really track your own spending. So question number 2 is, do you know what you spend each month? I'll admit, I'm by nature a quite impulsive spender, and I've never really kept track. And when I did take a closer look at my monthly bank statement, I realized there were some things that I actually could have saved, such as some subscriptions I didn't use anymore, an old web domain I was paying for. I even renegotiated my monthly cell phone bill and cut it in half. That's nice. So this is really all about awareness, and it's key to staying on top of your money game. So I encourage you to pull up some bank statements, go through each item, and then ask yourself questions like, did I really need this? Did I really need what I got here? Yes? Great. No? Then make a change in the future. You can also ask yourself, does this expenditure make me feel light and expanded and happy? Or does it make me feel contracted, guilty, or resentful? Because you see, sometimes we buy things that we think we need, but we really don't. Or we think that we should have them because someone else does, or someone told us we should get it, but really we wouldn't have bought it ourselves. So these are all spendings to reevaluate and to possibly avoid in the future. By the way, if you're like me and sometimes get stressed and overwhelmed when you think about bills coming in or your expenses, let me give you a tip I learned from Kate Northrup in her book, Money, a Love Story. She calls her bills invoices for blessings already received. Isn't this nice? See how your feelings about bills shift when you refer to them as invoices for blessings already received? So having a positive attitude towards money is important, and I'll be talking more about that in a future episode as well. Question number 3, do you have a retirement account or an emergency fund? How will you finance your life when you're older, or God forbid, if something happened? I know that many expat and diplomatic wives do not receive any retirement money, right? And to be honest, it's really infuriating to me. They just fall through the cracks and are left being dependent on their spouse, for whom they sacrifice so much, which no matter how good your relationship is, it is just not ideal. And let's not forget that women also statistically live longer than men. So that's another reason why you should be financially empowered, not to say independent. So if this is the case with you as well, I'd like to encourage you to think about your future. Pay money into a private retirement account or fund. If you count on inheriting something, make sure you know what that is exactly. What is it worth? Make sure you know how to manage that inheritance or learn about it. So if it's stocks that you may inherit, well, learn about investments in stocks. If it's real estate, or maybe it's the insights of a company or an industry, take an interest and learn about that. This is also important if you've already inherited something, because you want this money or this asset to last for as long as possible and ideally even increase its value, right? So bottom line here is to, again, not leave it up to someone else. Include yourself in the conversation and in the decision-making process, and just really look out for yourself, especially in a worst-case scenario. Question number 4. Do you have a consumer mindset or an investor mindset? This is something I learned from Tony Robbins, and it's really stuck with me. Most of us, I dare to say, have a consumer mindset, especially in this day and age. I mean, there's so much we need, or we think we need, or we are told we need. How often does Apple release a new iPhone? How often does your favorite store bring out a new collection? Then we want to go out for dinner and travel, enjoy ourselves, redecorate. There's so many things on all of our lists. But that is all adopting a consumer mindset. An investor mindset, on the other hand, critically evaluates spendings. Even that Starbucks coffee or that magazine subscription that you're like, well, that's nothing. And you know what? If you were to save just $10 a day, which can be easily done, by the end of the month, you'd have roughly $300. And by the end of the year, you'd have $3,600. And 5 years later, that's $18,000. And 10 years later, that's $36,000. Now, that's a nice sum that could be invested with just a minimal effort on your part, just by saving $10 a day. Think about that. All right, question number 5 is, think about your values around money, investments, and finances. What would you like to do if you had the money for it? Or if you already do, what is it that truly brings you joy and that you want to spend your money on or invest it in? Again, I think we're so conditioned by society and patriarchy even to think that we want and need certain things, but are they really aligned with our soul? Do they really spark joy in our hearts and feel expansive and light? Are they in line with our personal values? What are they? What do you want? Maybe you say you want to start your own business or invest in a course. Maybe you want to give back, enable your children a financially independent future or a great education. Maybe you want to redecorate the home or invite your family on a memorable trip. Whatever it is that matters to you, write it down, make a list, and you don't have to impress anyone with this. It's just for your own motivation to know what you'll do with your money that will be actually worthwhile to you. And when you figure that out, you'll also know what you should not spend your money on. All those things that are not in line with your values and your personal money goals, these are the things that you should drop off the to-buy list or spend money on list. So knowing what our values are will help us to just set better financial goals and allow us to make better decisions around money. And that's really important. And then number 6, I just want to really encourage you to learn or teach yourself about finances, because they are an important part of life. They are an important part of expat wife life, and they're a vital element of your own empowerment. So apart from checking the financial news from time to time or daily, even better, I recommend the following books that I've personally really enjoyed. So for instance, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Great one. Even for teenagers, you can already, if you have a teenager, it will teach him or her some great money lessons. I also loved the book Money, A Love Story by Kate Northrup, Get Rich Lucky Bitch and Chillpreneur by Denise Duffield Thomas, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, classic, The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker, Smart Women Finish Rich by David Back, and Master the Money Game by Tony Robbins. So, I'd like to know, what is your best tip for expat wives to become financially independent? What books do you recommend around money, finances, investments, and so forth? What have you learned, maybe the hard way, that you want other expat and diplomatic wives to know and to avoid? Please share this with the community. And I really hope I got you thinking about these things. Please, take some time, write down the questions, really reflect on the answers, and always strive to become empowered in every possible way of your expat life. With that, I wish you a wonderful week ahead, and I cannot wait to be back with a brand new episode next week. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure to share this episode with your expat besties and show me some love in the reviews. Want more juicy content designed for expat wives? Then head over to my website, www.camillaquintana.com, or follow me on Instagram and Facebook at coach.camillaquintana.